It's night. Your mother is holding you too tight. Outside, you can hear soldiers moving between houses. Torchlight flickers under the door. She presses her hand over your mouth. You're 3 months old. You don't understand, but she does. Pharaoh has ordered every Hebrew newborn boy thrown into the Nile. She's been hiding you since the day you were born. She can't do it anymore. She builds a basket from papyrus reeds. She seals it with tar and pitch. She can smell the bitumen on her hands for days afterward. She places you inside, wades into the shallows of the Nile, and lets go. Your sister Miriam watches from the reeds. Your mother walks back to the house. She doesn't look back. She can't. Pharaoh's daughter finds you. She opens the basket. You're crying. She knows exactly what you are, a Hebrew boy, condemned. She takes you anyway. She hires your own mother to nurse you, not knowing who she is. You grow up in the palace of the man who ordered your death. You eat at his table. You sleep under his roof. You are educated in the full knowledge of Egypt: law, administration, military strategy, engineering. The scribes teach you hieroglyphics. The priests teach you ritual. You are trained to run an empire. Your name is Moses, an Egyptian word. It means drawn from the water. You are 40 years old when everything ends. You walk out to see your people working. The sun is already brutal by mid-morning. The sweat stings your eyes. The overseers move between the workers with sticks. You watch a Hebrew man stumble under the weight of a stone block. The Egyptian guard doesn't wait. He brings the rod down across the man's back. Once. Twice. You look around. No one is watching. You kill the Egyptian. You drag the body into the sand and bury it. The next morning, 2 Hebrews are fighting each other. You try to stop them. One of them turns on you. Who made you ruler over us? Are you going to kill me the same way you killed that Egyptian? Everyone knows. You run. You cross the desert into Midian. When you arrive, your lips are cracked. Your sandals are finished. You sit down at a well in the middle of nowhere with nothing. 7 daughters of a local priest come to water their flock. Other shepherds drive them away. You stand up. You don't even think about it. You chase the shepherds off and water the flock yourself. Their father, Jethro, takes you in. You marry his daughter Zipporah. For 40 years, you herd sheep. Every day the same desert, the same hills, the same animals. The man educated to rule an empire now follows goats. 40 years of silence. 40 years of nobody. Your beard grows long. Your hands go rough. The palace feels like something you dreamed. You are 80 years old. Your life looks like a failure. Then the bush burns. You are on the slopes of Mount Horeb with the flock. You see a bush on fire. You walk closer. The flames move, but the branches don't char. You lean in. The bark is cool. A voice comes from inside it. Remove your sandals. You are standing on holy ground. You take them off. The ground is hot under your feet. Your legs are shaking. The voice tells you it has seen the suffering of the Israelites, heard their cries under the whips. It is sending you back to Egypt. You, an 80-year-old shepherd with a speech impediment, a fugitive with no army, no name, no title, and 40 years of irrelevance behind him. Back to Egypt, back to Pharaoh, to demand the release of the entire labor force. You try every argument you have. Who am I to do this? They won't believe me. I can't speak well. My tongue is slow. Please, send someone else. The voice doesn't negotiate. I will be with you. That's the offer, nothing else. You put your sandals back on and start walking south. You walk into the palace you grew up in. You stand in front of the most powerful man on earth and deliver the message. Let my people go. Pharaoh looks at you like you're something stuck to his sandal. He doesn't just refuse. He makes the work harder. The slaves must now gather their own straw, but still make the same daily quota of bricks. The foremen are beaten when the numbers fall short. The Israelites find you in the street and spit at your feet. You made it worse. You came and made everything worse. That night you cry out to God, "Why did you send me here?" The only answer is, go back. You go back. The Nile turns red. Not just the surface. Down through the water column, dark and heavy, smelling of iron. Fish float belly up from the delta to the cataracts. People come to you screaming. Their drinking water is blood in their hands. Pharaoh doesn't move. Frogs come up from the river. Thousands, then millions. They cover the palace floors. They're in the beds, in the ovens, in the bread dough. They die in piles, and the stench of rotting frogs sits over the city for days. Pharaoh says he'll let the people go. Then he doesn't. Gnats, flies, livestock dying in the fields, the horses, the donkeys, the cattle. Egyptian farmers standing in their pastures, staring at dead animals they don't know how to replace. Boils erupting on skin overnight. People who went to bed fine, waking up unable to touch anything without burning. Each time it ends, Pharaoh changes his mind. Each time you walk back through those gates, you feel it in your chest, the knowledge of what comes next, and knowing doesn't make it easier. Hail strips the crops, locusts eat what's left, then darkness drops over Egypt like a stone. 3 days, not cloud cover, darkness, total. People hold their hands in front of their faces and see nothing. Still, Pharaoh refuses. And now comes the one you've been dreading. The night of the 10th plague, every firstborn son in Egypt dies. From the palace to the prison, from the generals to the servants. The sound that rises from the city is something you don't have words for. Pharaoh's own son is dead by morning. The most powerful man on earth is standing in his palace in the dark, holding a body. He sends for you before sunrise. Go, take everyone, leave. You lead them out. The count in the text says 600,000 men, with their families, 2 million people walking in the same direction. They carry their unleavened dough on their shoulders because there's no time to let it rise. They borrow gold and silver from their Egyptian neighbors who press it into their hands, half mad with grief, desperate for them to leave. You've barely cleared the border when you hear it. Chariot wheels. Pharaoh changed his mind. His army is behind you. 600 chariots, horsemen, the full military force of Egypt bearing down across the desert. In front of you, the sea. 2 million people turn to look at you, children screaming, men telling each other they should have stayed slaves. The noise is enormous. The heat is enormous. Someone grabs your robe. You raise your staff. The water divides. You walk through. Walls of water on both sides, higher than you can see. The ground underneath is dry. You don't look up. You don't look at the water. You just keep walking and tell yourself to keep walking until you're through. When the Egyptians follow, the sea returns. You stand on the far bank and listen until it's quiet. Now comes the part that breaks you. The desert. There's no food. Manna appears each morning, white flakes on the ground, sweet like honey, enough for 1 day. You try to save some for the next morning and it rots, black and stinking. Every single day is a test. Every single day the answer has to be trust. There's no water. You pray. Water comes from a rock. But the people, God, the people, they complain about the food. They complain about the water. They say Egypt was better. At least in Egypt there was meat. At least in Egypt we had bread. You listen to this while walking through a desert, carrying a staff at 80 years old. You carry their complaints to God. You carry God's words back to them. You are the only wire connecting 2 worlds. Your own sister Miriam and your brother Aaron question your leadership openly. When Miriam is struck with disease afterward, the first words out of your mouth are 5 words. Heal her. Please, heal her. She is healed. You climb Sinai alone. 40 days and 40 nights. No food, no water. Something happens up there that you can't explain to anyone afterward. You come down carrying 2 stone tablets, the law, the foundation of a civilization. You descend the mountain and find your people dancing naked around a golden calf they built while you were gone. 40 days. You smash the tablets on the ground. The crack echoes off the mountain. Then you go back up. You intercede for the people who just betrayed everything you carried down. You tell God, if you're going to destroy them, take my name out of your book first. Remove me, not them. You come back down with 2 new tablets. For 40 more years, you lead them. You settle their disputes, all of them. Every argument over property, inheritance, cattle, insult. You sit in judgment from morning until night, until your father-in-law Jethro shakes you by the shoulders and tells you this will kill you. You build a system of judges. You delegate. A rebellion breaks out inside the camp. Korah and 250 men challenge your authority. The ground opens and swallows them. People die of snake bites, of plague, of their own rebellion. 38 years of this. Then comes the one moment, the one crack. The people need water, again. God tells you to speak to the rock and it will produce water. You are tired. You are so tired. You raise your staff and you strike the rock, twice, hard. The anger finally shows. The water comes. But the consequence comes too. You struck it instead of speaking to it. You will see the promised land. You will not enter it. 40 years. And you don't get to step inside. You stand there and you don't argue. What is there to say? You are 120 years old. Your eyesight is perfect. The text says this specifically. His eye was not dim. His strength was not gone. You climb Mount Nebo on your own legs, in full health, in full mind. From the summit, you can see all of it. The Jordan Valley, the hills of Canaan, Jericho, Jerusalem on the clearest days. The land promised to Abraham 400 years ago, the destination of everything. Every step, every plague, every night in the desert, every argument, every death. You can see all of it. And you die there, alone on the mountain. God buries you himself, the text says, in a valley in Moab, opposite Beth Peor. No one marks the place. No one knows where the grave is. Archaeologists have searched for 3,000 years. The location of the tomb of Moses remains unknown. The most important prophet in the history of Judaism, mentioned by name 136 times in the Quran. The man who spoke to God face to face. And the world never got to bury him. 3,500 years later, your words are still read aloud every week in synagogues. The law you carried down a mountain is embedded in legal systems on every inhabited continent. Every culture that has ever tried to protect the weak from the powerful has borrowed something from what you brought down that mountain. 40 years as a prince, 40 years as a shepherd, 40 years as a prophet. You never entered the promised land, but everyone walking toward freedom is walking on the road you built.